Hello, hello, everyone. No one's in here yet, but I'm just saying hello. This is a completely unscheduled live, and hopefully, some of you guys come in here. I don't want to just talk to myself. If anybody can hear me, please go ahead and drop me a comment. Let's see, live chat. I'm still trying to figure this out. I've done it once before, but I'm definitely no pro at this live. Oh, cool. Comments are coming in. You guys can hear me clearly? Cassie Camden, what's up, girly? Rashonda, Imelda, Lexi, Kathy, Marlon Hamilton, Lashonda, Island, Denise. All right, cool. Terry Erickson, sorry about that. So this is completely unplanned. I have zero script, and I was literally just feeling inspired, and I wanted to share my inspiration with you guys. I love you guys, I really do. Um, Started this YouTube channel not too long ago, and the whole idea behind this YouTube channel was for me to share my financial experiences and knowledge with you guys. Um, Many of you guys, I'm sure you know my story. I'm beyond passionate about personal finance and investing, entrepreneurship, and so the whole idea was not to make a channel where we talk about stimulus checks all day. And I want to be honest with you guys. Mary Sheed, I see you. Diana Wilson. I want to be honest with you guys. I am no expert at politics. I don't follow politics at all. What I share with you guys is literally I spend a couple hours a day researching what's going on, and I just share this information with you guys. So I try to bring as much concise information to you guys as possible to kind of save you some time, help you guys to kind of navigate what's going on. That's the whole goal there. So I'm no expert from a stimulus check standpoint. In fact, if you guys were to ask me, I don't know, before the pandemic started, would you become a stimulus check and unemployment benefit expert? The answer would have been no. So, this was totally unplanned, and I just felt like this was a good way to kind of help people. There was a lot of questions that we had personally, because my wife, matter of fact, hold on, she's here. Say hi.
Hi, guys.
So my wife, many of you guys know that she is actually a essential worker. Thank you. And so we were trying to find out information for her, and at the time there was hardly any information out. No one was talking about it. So since it was tough for us, we felt like it could be beneficial for us to share that information with everyone else who's probably having these questions too. And then the channel kind of took off. But anyway, here's what I wanted to share with you guys. Lisa Way says, hello, Ellie. Babe, she's saying hello. Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt your selfies. Hot sauce, what's up, dude? Vince to the C, I see you, man. Kizzy Williams, hey. Willie Mae McCoy, she says hi, Miss Yates. Linda Walters, thank you so much. So anyway, so I gave a stimulus update about, I don't know, 2 hours ago. And Congress hasn't done anything yet. I'm pretty sure none of you guys are really surprised. But here's the thing, guys. I've gone through a lot in my years on this earth, and I really want to share this little bit of insight with you guys. And if it helps just one person out there, I will feel accomplished. And here we have 120 something thousand family members here on YouTube. This has exceeded my wildest dreams. But I will say this. Back in I don't know, let's see, this is 2020, so let's just call it 12, maybe 15 years ago. We were definitely struggling. It wasn't pretty, and I feel like that's where a lot of the community is right now. There's a lot of struggle out there, and I just want to help as many people as I can. So I just want to share a little bit of knowledge with you guys. And what happened for me was I actually had to see someone succeed around me before I could believe that I could succeed myself. Struggling financially, being told that, there were no jobs in the market to be found. I personally didn't know anyone successful around me to, reach out to for advice or anything like that. And then what was success? Success for me was not really even something I thought about. It was just, hey, I just want to be able to pay my bills and put food on the table. And I just want to share something with you guys that completely opened my eyes. And I want to talk to you guys just a little bit about, let's see, can't concentrate, put your shirt. Sorry. So I want to share something with you guys, and I don't know how many of you guys, if you guys are feeling me when I say this next piece, comment below. I don't know how many of you guys pay attention to the thoughts you think and what you're saying to yourself. So let me just ask a couple of questions and just drop me a comment and let me know if this affects you like it affected me. Do you ever think to yourself, like, you want to do something, but then you say to yourself, nah, I want to get a new house, but, or I want to get a nice new car, but, or I would love to take my family on a vacation, but, or I'd love to get a new job, but I'd love to make more money, but, let me ask you guys if you ever have thoughts about achieving something or going after whatever's important to you, but you always follow it with a but. Lisa Way, you feel me? Okay, so you think like that. Okay. Does anybody else feel that way? Maybe it's just me and Lisa. I don't know. Eileen, Cooking with Deb. Okay. Please share. I invested in some of your listed. Oh man, the comments are going crazy. Okay. All right, cool. So one, I'm glad you guys are hearing me. And two, I'm glad you guys are feeling me. All right. So Randy, I'd love to make more money. Randy. Okay, cool. So I'm talking to everybody. You guys are feeling me. All right, cool. So, and sorry for the shaky camera, but my arm's getting tired holding this camera up, and I don't have a phone stand anyway. So one thing I realized was that was just one component to the negative talk that I would do to myself. And here's the thing, guys. You know how they say, and I don't know how many of you guys have heard this, but they say you only use like 10%, 5 to 10% of your brain. I don't know how many of you guys have heard that phrase, but in my experience, I think that's entirely false, or at least partially false. And I'm going to tell you guys why. I believe that we use 10% of our conscious brain, but I believe a larger component or a larger percentage of our brain is reserved for our subconscious. Now, what does our subconscious do? You ever think about how hard it is to remember to breathe all day, or how time consuming it would be to have to remember to beat your own heart on a regular basis to provide oxygen throughout your body? Well, these involuntary, they call them involuntary functions of the body. They're reserved for the subconscious. Now, the human body doesn't want to work any harder than it has to. So it's all about efficiency, right? Now, with the subconscious, it does more than just maintain your involuntary functions, such as beating your heart and breathing and things like that. Blinking. You don't think about blinking. You don't think about swallowing. These are all pretty much involuntary functions for the most part. Now, it has been proven that many people have actually learned to be able to control these quote unquote involuntary functions. Now, without going too deep into this, I do want to share with you guys that your negative thoughts are actually managed by your subconscious. Okay. And, this might not be the video for everyone, but if you're a little bit curious, I implore you, I invite you to stick around, because this may change some lives just the way it changed my life. And again, guys, I don't have a script here. I'm literally just chilling out here, and I was feeling inspired, and I just wanted to kind of share this with you. So really quickly, think about, maybe you should, one day just really pay attention to the things you think and how those negative thoughts are literally impacting and shaping your perspective on life. I want to be completely honest with you. How did you go from $0 to $100,000? Let's see. I want to answer that question and I will do so before I end this live chat. Don't let me forget that. I'm kind of building up to that. All right, so and I hit $100,000 while I was in my 20s. I hit $1 million by the time I'm in, while I was in my 30s, and I'm still in my 30s. So, it's possible. But the point is I had to change my perspective on how I view things, and I had to change how I thought. Okay, and this was not an overnight process, and it actually took me meeting some very, very successful people who I thoroughly respected, and were doing some amazing things that, like when I was growing up, I didn't know anyone who made over $100,000 a year. In fact, I didn't know anyone who made $100,000 a year. I heard that a friend of a friend was making $100,000 a year, but everyone I knew was making 30, 40 at the most. Most people were making like, $10, $15 an hour. So to even think about $100,000 a year was an impossibility. Whenever I would think about okay. Hey guys, are you guys there still? I don't know why my live just dropped me. Please comment if we're like, say you're back. Comment you're back if you guys can see me again. I don't know what happened. If you guys can just comment and say, hey, you're back. Froze. Hello. Oh, freaking YouTube, man. Guys, are you guys there? Oh, cool. All right, we're back. Thanks, Deborah. Deborah McCrae Hill. I see you every single day in the comments. So, all right. So, where was I? $100,000 a year. Okay, yeah. So I didn't know anyone who made $100,000 a year. And one day, I actually had the opportunity to meet someone who I had known for a number of years within my company, and I didn't know how much he was making. And one day, he just came out and told me. It was just a random conversation. And so I started asking him. I was like, dude, what school did you go to in order to, learn what you do? My background is technology, IT. So, and I was just answering phones at the time. I was making like not even 40, it was like 30 something thousand dollars a year. And so, I was just asking him. I was like, dude, this guy is like willing to share the knowledge, spill the tea, like Queen Destiny says all the time in the comments. And I swear, I read all the comments, and I know a lot of you guys who are commenting on a regular basis. So I'm trying to amp you guys up, because I know a lot of people are struggling right now. Right now, you're focused on things that are out of your control. You guys are focused on, what is Nancy Pelosi going to do or approve? What is Steve Mnuchin going to say? Mark Meadows, Donald Trump, Chuck Schumer, you name it, And here's the thing, guys. While we all want stimulus checks, the biggest stressful thing for you guys, more than likely, if you're like me, is when you focus on what's not in your control, that takes you out of control. Okay? When you focus on what's not in your control, it removes the control and the power from you, and it puts you in a victim mindset, a victim state of mind. And so during my conversation with this guy that I used to work with, he broke it down for me, and he was like, dude, I literally just took every single opportunity in every job I've ever had to learn more than what was required. So, let's just say you get hired to do one job. Well, the more you can learn about other jobs, the broader the perspective that you will have on that particular position, as well as other opportunities. Now, sometimes you don't quite know what information you need to pick up and what will be valuable to you in the future, but you want to keep your mind open for new opportunities, okay? So anyway, so I spoke with this guy, and he basically broke down like how he learned. He was like, dude, I used to just look up other jobs that I didn't qualify for, and, wrote down all the different skills that I had. And then I wrote down the skills that I didn't have that would be required to be able to get these jobs that I didn't yet qualify for. And then once, after going through, 50, 100 jobs, you kind of figured out, what was the next level up from where I'm at, Like for some of you guys, you might have to change industries to make a lot more money. But for, other people, you might be able to stay in your industry and just identify, hey, what's the next leg up? And, personally, I have identified so many different types of jobs and opportunities that don't require 4-year degrees that you can make $100,000 a year doing. So basically, this guy was a regular guy He didn't seem like anybody special, and he was making over $100,000 a year without a college degree. So that opened my eyes. And I've never personally met people who looked like me who were making six figures. In fact, he was the first person I ever met. So that opened my eyes to what was possible. And me personally, I didn't see a way, I didn't see a path. So thankfully, I met someone who was willing to share their experience with me, and it kind of opened my eyes. So then at that point, I believed. Now I want to share with you guys. I want to harp on this just a little bit. I believed what was possible. Now that belief in what was possible opened the doors for countless opportunities. When you believe that where you are is all that is, when you believe that you're where you are in life right now will never change, that belief will bring that into your life. Now I don't want to go into law of attraction and things like that, which I do believe about, but your belief is the underlying factor for everything that happens to you. And the sooner you can put yourself into a position where you become responsible for everything that happens in your life, now you're taking power back. If I say to myself, okay, if they don't pass this stimulus package, I don't have a plan B. If they don't pass this next round of stimulus checks, or if they don't, give me the next, if they don't reinstate unemployment insurance benefits, then what am I going to do? Now, I don't want to appear insensitive. Golden Shaw, I feel you. Thank you, man. Hot sauce, law of attraction. Yeah. And okay, so I feel like sometimes when I read the comments, I throw myself off. So if I put the power into the hands of the government, then that means unless they give me good news, I can't have good news in my life. That's going to set me up to be stressed out, waiting on the edge of my seat every single day. All right, what they talk about today. And I don't want to be in that position. My whole goal with this channel is to make every one of you guys be better off financially as best as I can. Hey, if you guys are getting any value out of this video, would you do me a favor and please hit the like button for me? Like I said, I didn't have a plan, so if I'm rambling, I apologize. But I'm just so amped up right now, and I know how much of an impact this information had in my life personally. So I just wanted to share this with you guys, because I think it's helpful, and it definitely helped me out. So anyway, what you believe will be attracted into your life, whether you believe it or not. Have you guys ever almost dropped your phone and like your heart stopped for like a second, and then you caught it, and you actually didn't drop your phone? So I want you guys to think about how you feel when that happens. When you almost drop your phone, let's say you had a nice phone and you don't even have a case on it, right? So you almost drop your phone, but you catch it, or you catch it with your foot, and then it doesn't break, but your foot stopped it from hitting the floor, and you look at the phone and you're like, oh yes, I didn't crack my phone screen, right? Well, guess what? Your heart jumped out of your chest because you're like, yo, I don't want to drop my $1,000 phone or whatever your phone costs, right? Well, guess what? You believed that you broke your phone, or that you were about to break your phone, but then you were relieved when you flipped it over and you looked at the phone, the face of the phone, and you're like, oh wow, cool, I didn't break the phone. Yes, right? That belief in your mind, there's no difference between what you believe and what is reality. For that split second, you thought you broke your phone, but then you looked at it and you're like, oh wait, I didn't break my phone, right? So if you keep that concept in mind, you can actually leverage that power once you understand how to work your brain to pull money into your life, okay? So the conscious mind does not, I want to give this to you. This is going to be deep. I don't know how many of you guys have heard this. And if you have not heard this before, drop me a comment and let me know if you've never heard this before. Your subconscious mind. Okay, let's first break down what's the difference between conscious mind and subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is me having this conversation with you. I'm having a cognitive conversation with you guys. Of course, you guys aren't talking back to me, but I'm able to read your comments. My conscious mind is able to maintain this conversation with you, right? My conscious mind allows me to go to the gym and work out. It allows me to do mathematic problems and, computations. I use my mind, my conscious mind, to read and, all these different things, right? Now, subconscious mind is what you're not actively paying attention to. Okay. Now, sorry guys, hold on one second. All right, guys, sorry about that. So your subconscious mind, your subconscious mind maintains everything else that you're not actively thinking about, right? So think about it like this. When you first started driving your car, for many of you guys, I'm pretty sure most of my audience is driving, right? You had to learn how to drive a car, and you had to focus and focus and focus. If you're driving a manual car, I don't know, I mean, most cars aren't even manual anymore, but for those of you guys driving a manual car, with a clutch, it was like, oh my God, this is the most impossible thing to ever learn. Or even for those of you guys who learned to tie your shoes for the first time, how hard was that? You were like 3 or 4 years old when you're learning to tie your shoe, and you thought to yourself, I'm never going to be able to figure this out. And then one day it just clicked, right? And so then you knew how to do it, but then you did it so many different times, whether or not you're tying your shoe or you're driving down the street. You got to a point where you did it so much that you didn't have to actively think, right? And so there's so the percentage of cognitive thought handled by your conscious mind became less and less and less. And then the percentage handled by your subconscious mind improved or increased more and more and more. And so basically your subconscious mind began to take over what used to be a difficult task. Okay? And so that's the power of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind can literally it can handle the tasks that used to be managed by the conscious mind. Okay. And so the more you can practice doing anything, the better you will get at it, the sooner you can get your subconscious mind to kind of handle that for you. Okay. Now that goes with speaking negatively to yourself. Okay. Now let's go back to the negative talk, right? So arms getting tired. So if we go back to the negative talk, if we go back to the negative self-talk, right? You want to literally be thinking about, what am I saying to myself that's negative? Maybe one day, if you guys are willing to commit to doing this, drop me a comment down below if you want to change your life, okay? You want to change your life, take this information and actually apply it today, tonight. What time is it? It's like 7:57 right now. I'm on East Coast time. 7:57. If you guys are going to commit, drop me a comment below. Say, I'm going to do this starting at the end of this live, right? Write down every thought that goes in your mind that you never really thought about before. Now, it's going to take practice to think about what you're thinking about when you're not actively thinking. And this is going to be a game changer if you understand what I'm talking about, right? Now, not everything you're gonna hear in your mind is gonna be negative, but you wanna take an inventory over what is negative in your life. You wanna take an inventory over what is negative in your life, in your mind, and write that down. And anything that's negative, if you're thinking something that's out of your control, like your worry. Okay, so worry is handled by the subconscious mind. Worry is handled by the subconscious mind. Now, worry typically comes from you over and over and over thinking about things that are out of your control, and you're in a victim standpoint. Okay? Okay, jump in the pool jump. So once you take an inventory of everything that's negative, and once you write it down, maybe you don't realize it's negative, all right? So I'm going to help you guys out with that. But just for now, write down everything that's negative that you can think about, right? Or everything that you think about, just write it down. Later on, you'll categorize it. So once you've taken an inventory of everything that was negative, a negative thought, then I want you to say to yourself, hey, does this thought put me in control? Does this thought make me think that something bad will happen? Write down all these different thoughts, all right? Now, once you've done that, once you've categorized everything that's negative, I want you to say to yourself, okay, how do I rephrase this so that it's a positive thought, okay? Now, Some of you guys who are getting impatient, I get it. This might be too much for you guys. I understand. If I'm not speaking to you, that's cool. But there's going to be some people who this is really going to help. So once you figure out how to reword that thought that keeps circling in your mind, then you'll be able to you'll have a higher control over what's in your life, right? Now, here's another thing. If you think thoughts that are based on things that are out of your control, then you're more than likely not going to be thinking about, hey, well, how can I change this path? If I'm on a path where I don't want to head down, how do I change this path? Well, if I can't control the path that I'm on, I'm not going to look for a solution. All right. But let's think about it like this. Let's just say I'm worried about whatever I might be worried about, right? Flip that around and say, well, how can I, and there's a reason why I'm exaggerating these words, how can I fix this problem? How can I land a new job? How can I make more money? Okay? When you make a habit of asking yourself how, you begin to open your mind and you begin to research different ways to figure out how to make more money. You begin to look at different possibilities. You begin to talk to different people who might be making more than you. Once you start asking yourself how, you instantly put yourself in power, because now you realize it's up to you. And now, and once you begin doing that, the very act of actually taking steps toward, resolving the very thing that you were concerned about, you will find that you actually will lower your level of stress, because the moment you actually start taking actions toward fixing the problem, you will realize that there's only a matter of time before you actually find the solution. Now, a lot of you guys were asking me, how did I go from $0 to $100,000, in my 20s? Well, I'll be very honest with you. My work ethic is unlike most people. And once I realized, hey, this guy pulled off making $100,000 a year and he didn't even have a degree. And I was like, wow, he's just like a regular guy. He didn't look like anything special. So, with my newfound belief, I began personally just focusing on, what can I do to make more money? All right. Well, here's the thing, guys. If you don't have the brain power, I don't want to say if you don't have the brain power, if you don't necessarily have the ability to command $100,000 in your field yet, there's a phrase that I like to use, and I use it on myself. So, please don't take any offense to it when I say this. You have to use your back until you can use your brain. Okay? Now, the sooner you can use your brain, you'll be able to make more money way faster, right? So for me, my skill set didn't allow me to make more than $40,000 a year. That was on the high end. So what I did was, I was like, hey, I got to feed my family. This is not enough for me. I need a way out. I got to make more money. So I started researching, all right, just like I said before, I started looking at jobs that I didn't apply for or didn't qualify for. I started looking at different businesses that I might be able to start. And many of the different businesses I didn't know how to start required a high level of skills that I didn't necessarily have yet. It either required skills or it needed maybe some upfront capital to get things going. But whatever the case was, I didn't immediately see that I had the resources to get those things going. So what I did was I said, you know what? Well, I don't know how to do these things yet, and I didn't know who to learn from to be able to make those things happen yet. So I personally decided, you know what? I used to just spend so much time on Instagram, Facebook, watching TV, and I realized to myself, wow, I've got 8 hours, I've got 24 hours in a day. And I started thinking about everybody who was successful. I started, reading all kinds of books. I used to hang out in a bookstore for, like a couple hours a day, just because it was a way for me to alleviate stress. I couldn't afford to buy books at the time, so I would just sit in the bookstore and just read for free. And I chose a bookstore just because they had newer books and better selections than the library had for me, right? So while I'm reading these books, I would look at magazines, and I started looking at these houses. I was like, oh wow, I would love to live in a house like that. And then I started looking at these cool cars, and I was like, oh wow, I'd love to own one of these cars. I'm a big car enthusiast. I like nice things. I couldn't afford any of that. So I literally just said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna figure out a way to make more money somehow. So I started looking at different jobs, trying to apply for, higher paying jobs. And then I started identifying the different skills and certifications that I might need to be able to get a better job. And so once I figured that out, I started mapping out a plan for what the next step would be for me. Now, I realized that plan was probably going to take me about 8 months to achieve that. So I was a little bit impatient. So I was like, you know what? I know a lot of people are, and at the time, people were fearful about losing their jobs. This was around 2008. People were losing their houses. And, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't one of them, And, all I heard was negativity. So one thing I realized was, how much negative information I was taking in. So I stopped watching the news, started reading more, started reading about I started reading about very, very successful businessmen and reading about their backstory. How did they get going? I started reading about Amazon, Jeff Bezos. I looked at his starting office and how long he stayed in that starting office even after he was making money. It looked like a crap hole. And I was like, yo, he hustled for so long. He worked like a madman. He worked like 18 hours a day. I was like, you know what? If I had a business, that would be awesome. I pour all my energy into it, but I didn't know what to start. So I was like, well, what can I do? So I started looking for part-time jobs. I couldn't find a part-time job. But what I did find a full-time job. And I was like, wow, you know what? I got all this time I've been wasting watching TV, making me no money, watching the news, stressing me out. I was like, hold on a second. Let me just get another full-time job that's in the off hours of my current full-time job. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna figure out how to reduce my expenses. Okay? And so by doing that, I actually took an inventory of my time. A lot of people, they're afraid of budgeting because they feel like budgeting is for broke people. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was broke and I wasn't afraid of it. So I was like, you know what? Not only am I gonna budget my money, I'm gonna budget my time. And I realized the value of time, okay? And so I realized, okay, you know what? I'm going to not be wasting my time. I'm not gonna hang out with people who are wasting my time because my time is money. And the less time I had, the more valuable it became to me, right? And so what I did was I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this second job and I'm gonna figure out how to make this work. So I changed my shift on the first job just a little bit so that I could literally work 2 full-time jobs. And then I began budgeting so I budgeted my time, cut out Instagram, cut out Facebook. And I was like, you know what? I was making progress working out. And so I used that same workout ethic to be able to work 2 full-time jobs, which most of my friends thought I was crazy, right? And here's another thing. I sold my nice car that I couldn't afford. And I decided, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna stop fronting because, it was kind of like, hey, I'm a car enthusiast, but at the same time, it was like peer pressure, Hey, you get a nice car because you like the response that you're getting from your friends. And, oh, yo, you look like you winning. Dude, you're not winning when the car owns you. You only win when the toys are really yours. If you feel like, oh man, I got to keep this car because of what people are going to say if I let it go, that's losing. That's letting your car and your material items run your life. And I'm just not going to do it. I'd rather drive a $2,000 car, which is what I ended up doing. Sold my car. It was a nice Lexus. Sold my car. Bought a less than $2,000 car that was a 5-speed, right? And whatever, I doubled my income because I found another job that was paying me 40 grand a year. And so I'm working 2 jobs and I reduced my income and I focused on just paying off all my credit cards. I was like, yo, I got to get out of debt. I was like hell bent on getting out of debt. I was like, yo, I am not going to stay broke. And so, the more money I made, the more I was motivated to keep doing this. And I started focusing more on cutting back on my budget, restructuring expenses so that I maximized the amount of money that was coming in. And then I started realizing, oh wow, I'm making way more money. I need to make some strategic moves so that my new income isn't getting eaten up by the tax man. So then I started paying attention. I started reading up on how to do that. Next thing you know, I started picking up more and more skills because, hey, I'm working 16 hours a day now, right? And I was like, yo, all right, this is cool. I've literally doubled my income. I got to a point where I was actually saving money from my first job. I was living off of probably, after cutting back my expenses and getting smart with my money, I was probably living off of about 75% of my first job, that income, and I was saving about 25%. And yo, it's getting dark out here. I gotta wrap this up. All right, so So I was living off like 25% of my income, or yeah, I was saving 25% of my income and living off of 75. But guess what? I had that second job and I was able to save 100% of that income. And I saw how quickly I was getting out of debt. I was like, yo, this is addictive. So then I started thinking to myself, I was like, yo, I was working Monday through Friday. They had a Saturday position. I was like, yo, I don't need Saturday. I don't need Saturdays. Let me hurry up and get out of debt. Can you imagine you have an entire paycheck? You're throwing at debt. You're throwing at investments. You're throwing at saving. I was so hyped up that just seeing that progress on the spreadsheet, like seeing the debt get reduced like so fast. I was in debt for so long. Like when you see that 185 minimum payment and like 165 went to interest, that's not winning. When you got this, big car note and you like upside, you're like upside down on your car and you got this big $500 car note plus insurance, plus this, plus that. It's not a winning situation. So once I started seeing that progress financially, it was, most people have momentum going the wrong way for them. Most people have, negativity and momentum pulling them back and keeping them where they're at. I figured out a way systematically. I swear, if I had to start over from zero, I'd do it again. I figured out a way how to systematically go from zero to $100,000. Now, once I decided, you know what? I'm making crazy progress financially. I got out of debt. I was actually not zero. I titled this video Zero to $100,000 a Year. I was actually about negative $50,000 to start with debt between cars and credit cards and all this nonsense that was owning me. Waking up, I hate waking up early in the morning, especially knowing that if I don't, the credit, they're gonna repo my car. Or, my credit's going to get jacked up and all this, that, and the other. But once you free yourself, once I got to a point of becoming debt free, it was like, oh my God, this was worth it. Now, all along, my friends were thinking I was crazy. They're like, dude, because I'm in my 20s doing this, right? And I'd do it right now in my 30s if I had to start over. But here was the thing, most people weren't willing to hustle to the level I was willing to hustle. Now, when I started working out, I was afraid. I don't want to say afraid. I was intimidated by working out because I was the smallest guy in the gym and I was out of shape and it looked like everybody else knew how to work out but me. And, it was just very, very intimidating. So it was like, you guys are wondering if I'm at a public pool. No, I'm at Lifetime. This is Lifetime Fitness. Anyway, so I ain't gonna jump in now with my phone, but my phone is waterproof. But anyway, so my point is this: I leveraged my hustle and my drive that I picked up from working out. I started off, the smallest guy in the gym, and I'm not the biggest guy in the gym, but I started off not knowing anything about working out, but having a big goal and a big vision. And one day I just decided, you know what? I really like the way some of these guys look in the magazine. And I looked at some of these guys before and after pictures, some of these, bodybuilders or whatever. And I didn't want to be a bodybuilder or anything like that. And I don't consider myself a bodybuilder, but what I did like was that I saw some of their before and after pictures. I was like, wow, they went from a skinny little guy or a really overweight guy to a chiseled piece of art. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And, for me, that was one of the things that got me started. Now, the thing with working out was it was painful. It was hard. I didn't want to eat what they were eating. But the more I would surround myself with those who were winning at that, I began picking up their habits. I began realizing, hey, what are these guys eating to be able to build their bodies to look like that way? How frequently are they working out? And I immersed myself in that. And so I changed my personal identity the way I changed my finances. I leveraged the same skills and strategies and tactics that I used to transform my body and applied it to finances. Once I realized, hey, I want to work out and I want to take working out seriously, I saw myself in the body that I wanted to have before I had the body. And then I began doing all the things that the people who had the body that I wanted to build were doing. And so but over the period of over a year, 2 years, I began seeing the results. And those results became positive momentum and they built habits. And now and so people ask me, well, Ron, how many times you work out? I work out like every day. And the reason why is because the momentum is so strong that it's harder for me to take a day off than it is for me to go in. I literally feel like crap if I don't work out. So I literally work out every single day. People are like, yo, how you keep up with your diet and all that? All that's automatic. It's all subconscious now. So, I don't even have to think about all that. From a financial standpoint, I systemically planned out after lots of, error and correction and learning and reading, and figured out how to maximize the amount of income that's coming in. Then I said to myself, all right, after that, once I got a decent income, I was like, hey, I need to also maximize my investments. I need to figure out how to create multiple streams of income, which I'm not going to go into on this video, but eventually I will. But the whole point was, you had to sacrifice, and I leveraged the positive momentum that I was seeing, and advanced myself so quickly that it was just so addictive. Now, who wants to work? Because at one point, once I started working those Saturdays, who wants to work, 80? I think I was working like 90 hours a week. I did that for almost 2 years. Now, most people don't have what it takes. No, let me take that back. When your mindset is focused on what you can't do, you can't do it. But once you shift to, hey, I'm going to fix this no matter what, and you just start asking yourself, hey, how can I do it? And don't just shoot yourself down like you can't without trying. So I really hope I'm having a positive impact on you guys right now. In fact, one other thing I was going to say is, and so by the time I started working Saturdays, I was at over $100,000 per year in income. Now, of course, you're thinking like, well, you were killing yourself. How long can you do that? Well, I was actually thinking to myself, hey, how long can I do that? And it became a contest. I was literally competing with myself and thinking to myself, every day that I made it through, this is another day in the books. This is another day in the books. Every time I would get those 2 paychecks, 2 good sized paychecks, literally think about it. Do the math. Write down how much you're making right now. Write down how much you're making right now. Write down all your expenses, and then add another paycheck. Imagine you had 2 paychecks coming in, where one of them was paying all your bills and probably some savings too, and the second one was like going into investments or 100% savings or paying off debt, like whatever the case was. For me, I got to a point where I was literally investing the whole amount, and I ended up saving / investing over $100,000 while I was in my 20s. And I didn't know anybody who had 100 grand in their 20s, but I did. But I read about people who did it, and it inspired me to do it. And once it's kind of like, I forget what the runner's name was. There was a runner who since 1886, don't quote me on the year, it was back in 1886, runners were trying to break this back in 1886, runners were trying to break a 4-minute mile. And it got to a point where scientists were actually researching this, and they were actually coming to the conclusion that it was a physiological impossibility for a human being to be able to run 1 mile in 4 minutes or under 4 minutes. This was attempted until 1954. Even scientists believed and were convinced that the heart would explode if a human being actually attempted to run 1 mile in under 4 minutes. And then I forget the runner's name, and forgive me, but in 1954, this runner broke the 4-minute mile and he survived. He didn't die. Now think about it. From 1886 to 1954, I can't even do the math in my head right now. That was about 60 years. So for 60 years, Olympic runners were trying to break this record and were convinced that it was impossible. Now get this. Once it was done in 1954, only 46 days later was the next person, the second person, to run and break that 4-minute mile. In fact, he broke the record that had just been set 46 days prior. So what does that tell you? What that tells you is you can do what you believe you can do. Once you see, and this is what happened for me. I had to see someone achieving some level of success to a point where I believed I could do it too. And then I shifted my mindset. I shifted my way of thinking to a point where I was like, you know what? I could do this too. And I swear, there's nothing I can't do. And with this channel, I want to help more people believe that same thing, because that is what changed my life. This is what changed my life and my family. My girls over here like, yo, would he just shut up?
I want to go home.
Yo, all right. So I can be a little long-winded, but when I get amped up, I can't help it. And this is just me. I'm a little extra, so y'all gonna have to forgive me. Your boy's a little extra, and so I wanna leave you with one other thing. Um, I decided, I'm making all this money. This is cool and all, and this is great, but I gotta work smarter. So, like I said, I use my back until I could use my brain, and I started realizing, okay, how do I leverage all this knowledge that I'm picking up from these two jobs so I could work less and keep the same income? Started identifying the different certifications I needed to acquire to be able to make that happen. And over the next, I don't know, I forget, it might have been a year or so, I reinvested in myself, acquired the certifications that I needed to be able to land and acquire a job that paid me as much as those two jobs did. And I by far exceeded that by now. And then I began trying to figure out, okay, now that I'm making more money and working less, how do I multiply myself so I could further extend my financial success? And then I began looking at, okay, how do I start businesses? Because this is what the really successful people are doing, right? So it was like, all right, so I started winning from an employee standpoint. Oh, yo, my girl's holding the phone for me. Yo, I love you. Okay. So I started winning from an employee perspective, and I was like, all right, how do I take the same hustle and take the same drive and information so that I can start a business so I'm really making money, so I don't have to kill myself? Because it's like, as long as you're an employee, and there's nothing wrong with being an employee, right? As long as you're an employee, you have to trade your time for money. And that's okay. You got to put food on the table. And in fact, when you need startup capital, the easiest thing for most people to do is to work a job, get the startup capital, get the experience, get the benefits, get your free 401k matching money. This is free money. You know what I'm saying? Build your wealth. Babe, hold it up for a second. Yeah. All right. My girl, yo, it's so funny because my girl, she's like 5'1", and so like she's holding the phone mad low. But anyway, stand back further. Oh, here we go. Yo. Ah! So anyway, yeah, so I started like trying to leverage, okay, how do I take these same strategies and apply them to business? Now, business was a little bit harder. No, it wasn't harder. It was just different. But I believe that at some point in time, and I failed a lot, and I got to a point where I just had to say to myself, failure is not bad. Failure, unfortunately in school, sorry, there we go. So unfortunately in school, they teach you that failing is bad. And that's the wrong way of thinking. And this is why I'm building this financial freedom program, because all these lessons that I've learned didn't have to take me as long as they took me. And I want to help more people have these discoveries a lot sooner in life than I did, so that you don't have to go through the hustle. You don't have to be waiting on stimulus checks. I want to help you guys out as much as possible, and I'm going to continue to do that. But the stimulus check is not a solution. It's a temporary bandage. I want to give you guys a long-term solution. I want you to be able to change your family's lineage, okay? Like, take your family out on a vacation and just enjoy the week, right? Like, have enough savings to know that, hey, if I never worked another day, I can survive the next 2 years just off savings alone, or just off one of your other streams of income. So anyway, the financial freedom program is coming out soon. I cannot wait to share it with you guys, but I was so motivated. This is totally unplanned, you guys. I don't have a script. I'm literally out here, and like these people in the pool are probably looking at me like, yo, who is this guy? Who is this guy like going off in the camera? But I don't even care, like when you just want to succeed so bad, like that motivation will make things possible for you that are impossible for other people who don't have your mindset. A lot of you guys, hold on, babe. So a lot of you guys, you're like, yo, how are you so positive every single day? Because I intentionally practice being happy. I intentionally practice being positive because I know if I'm negative, I'm gonna bring negativity in my life, and I'm not trying to lose. You know, like every person I've ever met that was winning financially had a very, very. Hold on, I'm ignoring all these comments. Margarita, soon buy a house for wife. We actually have a house already, so I'm not really sure. Javier Meza, do it, do you? Carol Thompson, I see you. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, but I just wanted to say, you know, your mindset has everything to do with your level of success. And every successful, I know your arms are killing you, I'm sorry. Every successful person that I've ever met that was making any kind of serious moves, that was able to generate any kind of serious money, and you know, and that was the other thing. 80%, 85% of millionaires in America, I've studied the habits of millionaires for over 15 years because I wanted to be one eventually. 85% of millionaires in this country are self-made millionaires. What that means is that 85%, and there's millions of millionaires in our country. There's like 335 million people in this country, but we have millions of millionaires. So think about the track runner example. No one could break 4 miles from 1886 to 1954. So for 60 years, no one can do it. But 46 days after the first guy did it, another person did it. And then 3 years later, several more people did it. So all you have to do is see one person winning, and then you start thinking you can win too, and you'd be surprised what is possible. I was making like less than 30, at one point I was making less than $30,000 a year. And I felt like that was it. I was surrounded by people who were negative and who were also just making what I was making. One other thing I figured out was hang around people who bring you up. Don't hang around people who bring you down. If you're hanging around people with a limited mindset, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to raise your mindset to the new level that you need to be at so that you can get what you want out of life for you and for your family. So anyway, guys, that's all I've got for this one. My girl's gonna like hit me if I don't stop, so I'll just cut it here short. If you guys want to know anything else, if you guys have any questions for me, do me a favor, drop me a comment down below. I love reading your comments. I hope I provided some form of inspiration for you guys. If you guys felt like, hey, as of today, I'm gonna take inventory of my thoughts, and I'm going to focus on making sure that the story that plays in our mind isn't a negative one, comment below and say, today is going to be different. Today, I'm going to make a change, and I'm not going to be in the same financial situation, next year as I am today. And don't be like most people where they're like, yo, come December 31st, I'm going to do my New Year's resolutions. Nah, that's a losing game. Most people who set resolutions don't accomplish them. Make a decision today to make a change and execute starting tomorrow. If that's, no, execute starting today, right? By executing today, you put the wheels of motion in your favor. Remember how I said about the momentum? Get the momentum in your favor as soon as possible. So that momentum starts with taking out a piece of paper or open up text yourself. This is what I do sometimes. I send a text to myself when I don't have nothing to write on. Text yourself and say, hey, starting today, I'm gonna pay attention to my thoughts and write down my thoughts, okay? Starting today, I'm gonna write down how much money I make, and I'm gonna write down how much money I spend. Make that decision today to make a difference in your life. I promise you, 0 to 100,000 in my 20s, to a millionaire in my 30s is not to brag, it's to motivate. I'll see you guys on the next one.